Welcome to the Sons of UCF, a unique UCF podcast experience. Now, say hello to Adam and Mike.
All right, this is the Sons of UCF. This is a partly sunny edition, an atypical episode for us because if you're sitting in front of a calendar right now, and I have no idea why you would be, Mike, it is October 28th. What does that date have any significance to you?
That was one of the biggest days for us as UCF fans we were there in 98, 99. This was our game. This was the one that put UCF on the map. Yeah, it's a big day in UCF history. I remember it well. 40-38 victory and homecoming in Alabama.
20 years have passed since that, and that brings up a lot of different memories, Mike, a lot of different emotions for a lot of people. For those of the younger fans, the younger alumni, this was our Peach Bowl. I mean, this was our Peach Bowl victory. This was the signature win for UCF. And to understand how important this is, you have to understand, the psychology where UCF had been. They just went D1 in 1996. And they had so many close losses, Mike. We've chronicled a bunch of them: Georgia, Auburn, Nebraska. We were leading at halftime. Georgia Tech, Mississippi State. We had a bunch of games between 1996 and 2000 that we were in, and some of those games we should have won. But it all came to a screeching halt when we traveled up to Alabama and we knocked off the Crimson Tide at home on their homecoming day. 40-38 on a game-winning field goal by Javier Beorlegui. And so, Mike, you got us to thinking, right? This is a pretty special day, right?
Absolutely.
So we needed to do something special. Podcasts are great. We enjoy you doing these. We're glad you listen, but we decided we had to up our game. And so here's what we did. We figured let's Mike, let's just get one of those guys on and talk about the game, right? That was our original plan. But you know what? We didn't stop there because we got not one, not two, not three, but four of the most important players and or people from that day. We round them all up and got them all to agree to join us at the exact same time. But what makes it even more fun, Mike? Let's do a little video. You know what I mean? Let's put it on video. So that was the plan. Did you ever think we'd pull that off? By the way.
Yeah, I had full confidence in us. I told you on the podcast last week when the idea first came up. It sounded great. And then as it started going, we started inviting these guys. Every one of them was very enthusiastic about doing it. We talked to everybody the day before, and they were all fired up. They're all excited to see each other again. So as the week went on, I was very confident that we could do it. And we did. And you mentioned not just one guy, but four guys. And the starting quarterback, the guy that scored 2 touchdowns in the game with an iconic play with his helmet popping off, the head coach, and the hero, the kicker that won the game for us. What other guys do you want to hear from than those four?
Hopefully you and I, because we were also there as a part of it. So here's what we did. So we got these guys together. We put together a live broadcast that went out on Wednesday evening live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And we had all 4 of those guys on, and we spent a good solid hour talking with them about the game. And we heard some great stories, some great insight about what they experienced during the game, and some of the things that went on behind the scenes, a lot of good stuff, Mike, and it was cool to get those guys together. We had a live chat, obviously, going with fans or listeners or watchers, I guess I should say, and everyone was really excited to be a part of the experience too. So what we thought we would do is we'd bring that experience to you. Hopefully, you had a chance to catch the video. If not, it's still out there. You can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it on Facebook, Twitter. It's archived. It'll live forever. But maybe you're just not in a position to watch a video. Maybe you're used to listening to us in the car or at the gym or something, and video is just not for you. So fear not. We're going to put the audio from that entire hour-long interview on this show here tonight. So if you're listening into this, that's what's coming up next for you. You will hear the entirety of that hour-long conversation with Ryan Schneider, Tyson Hinshaw, Javier Beorlegui, and Coach Mike Kruczek. But before we get to that, Mike and I got a gas bag for a little bit here. Mike, what was I don't want to spoiler alert too much, but what was your favorite part of the experience?
Hearing some of these stories that these guys had, some stories that we had never heard before. Javier had a great one there at the end of the show. If you listen all the way to the end. And then afterwards, these guys stayed on the call with us for like another 10 minutes. And I just sat back and listened to them go over more stuff, even funnier stories. And what a great bunch of guys these 4 guys are. And you can tell how much they love each other and how much they miss each other. They haven't talked to each other in a while. So they had, I think, even more fun than we did as fans.
Yeah, it was the after show was probably better than the actual show because we got a chance to just have them kind of reminisce and tell some stories about a bunch of different things. So it was a cool experience. We hope you guys enjoy it. Again, if you want to catch the video replay, that is out there. If not, here we will get the audio for you coming up here right after this. But do us one favor though, if you like what we're doing, if you appreciate anything that we do, make sure you subscribe, rate, review on wherever you get your podcast. If you want to leave us a rating, a 5-star rating is always appreciated. If you think we've done good work, we definitely appreciate you giving us a good score for that. So without further ado, 20 years ago on the 28th, UCF beats Alabama. Let's hear from the guys who were most responsible to it. This is Adam and Mike, Sons of UCF. Here's a partly sunny Alabama UCF 20 years later. All right, what's going on, Night Nation? Welcome to a live special edition of the Sons of UCF podcast. And here's the deal, right? Today's a special day. It's a 20-year anniversary. So when something special comes around, we got to do something special here. So podcasts are great, right? You can download that, listen to us all you want. Yeah, that's all well and good. But tonight, we have got 4 of the gentlemen most responsible for one of the biggest wins in UCF history. Again, 20 years ago today, our Knights traveled up to Tuscaloosa, took down Alabama 40-38. Or 40-30. Yeah, 40-38. And so we've got the gentlemen who are most responsible, and they are live. They're waiting to talk to you, and we are going to bring them in now. We have questions that we can ask them. We also have the ability for you to ask questions. So get in the comments section if you want to leave comments. We'll play those throughout the show, and we'll save some time for you to ask questions. So let's bring in our first guest. In that particular game, this guy had 8 catches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he also lost a helmet, and he got back up from that. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyson Hinshaw. Tyson, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
The guy who threw those passes, he actually threw 2 other TDs, so 3 TDs on the day, 283 yards, 82 career touchdowns in his UCF career, by the way, and now a successful high school head coach. Quarterback Schneider is with us. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
The last 3 points of that afternoon were scored by this gentleman. He also had 3 other field goals, 26, 27, and 27. And, of course, everybody will always remember that 37-yarder that sailed through the uprights. Ladies and gentlemen, Javier Beorlegui is with us. Javier, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Howdy.
And last but not least, the man roaming the sidelines with the brim hat and the offense that put up a ton of points. Head coach Mike Kruczek is with us as well. Coach Kruczek, thank you very much for joining us.
Adam, thanks for having me. It's great to see these older guys now.
Well, let's start there. When's the last time the 4 of you were all together? You guys all saw each other.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've seen Tyson recently.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Ryan or Javier.
It's been
I
years.
can't remember last time I've seen either one of them. They just disappeared. I follow Ryan. He's killing everybody in Cocoa. But
Well, it's because of the offense he taught me. We're running the same
I need to get that offense back.
We are starting off on a good foot. So I'll take this to everybody first. Tyson, you can go first on this one. Can you believe it's been 20 years already? Does it feel like it's been 20 years since that game?
It definitely doesn't feel like it's been 20 years. In fact, I was talking to some folks today about it, and maybe 5 years or 10 years, but 20 just, like Coach said, makes me feel awful old first. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. So, maybe that's part of it is, you think about that game a lot. I think about that season a lot, but that game in particular, definitely doesn't seem like it's 20 years ago. That's for sure.
Ryan, how about you? I know you get hit in the head a lot, but does it feel like 20 years?
No, not at all. It's funny when I was reading about it, that it's been 20 years. I was like, oh my God, where did time go? Yeah. But my body feels like it's been 20 years. But just like Tyson said, I can remember the exact plays, the things we did, the actual play calls, and it's funny today. Someone posted the final drive on social media, and I watched that, and I was play by play. All right, I'm throwing the hitch here, I'm throwing the quick out here, and then I'm hitting Tyson on the post, and there it was.
Javier, how about you? You obviously your picture is one of the most legacy moments in regards of UCF football, in particular in this game. But does it feel like 20 years has passed since that magical field goal went in?
It does not at all. Just like they said too. I mean, every time someone maybe posts the game or posts the kick or something, everything comes back for that game. I remember it vividly, like just Tyson and Ryan were talking about. It's just wild. It's been exactly 20 years today, so it's shock. I'm not used to it.
And Coach, I know for you coached in a lot of games. Is this one more special? And can you believe it's been 20 years since that special game?
Not really. Since that time, obviously, I've been at different levels coaching, but obviously that's the greatest memory I'll ever have gone through in my coaching career. Going through preparation for that week and the way these guys played during the game for 60 minutes it's something that I'll always remember. So it doesn't seem like it's 20 years. Time goes by really quickly. And but it's moments like that you cherish in your life.
Guys, Adam and I were students at the time. I remember before the season started, we looked at the schedule and we picked out a couple games here and there. You know, we got Georgia Tech open the year. We got Virginia Tech. They had just played the national championship game the year before. We got them. And we had Alabama, who was number 3 coming into the season. We circled it on the calendar. How did you guys approach it? How excited were you about this game? Did everybody circle this game on the calendar before the season started?
Oh, yeah. I'll start with that. I can tell you, I think, Coach Sloan was the one that got it on the schedule because I think his relationship with Alabama. And I think it was about 3 years early we knew we were going to have that game. In fact, I had a good friend of mine that I told, I said, look, we're playing Alabama. I said, I'm going to be playing in that game. Maybe it was even 4 years. I was a redshirt freshman. And he said, if you're playing in that game, I'll be there. And sure enough, he drove up and was at that game. And I can tell you, we all of the games were important and all of the games were big, but this is one that we definitely had circled years ahead of time that this was going to be a special event, no matter what. Just the history of that place and that stadium, it was going to be a special moment, and turned out it was a lifelong special moment, really.
We weren't even in a conference back then, so getting to SEC schools, everybody knew coming into the season that was going to be the big one. Coach, do you prepare your team any differently for a game like that, or you kind of take every week the same?
Not really. I think preparation was the same. I'll go back some years. You want to talk about circling Alabama, but you go back with some of these guys were freshmen in '97. They may have redshirted, but you look at the way we started. I mean, you open up with the South Carolinas, the Nebraskas, and you play Auburn. I mean, we open up with Ole Miss and lose in overtime. So these guys are used to these SEC opponents. The senior class was. And so our preparation was the same. It never changes regardless of who we play. It's just whether the team wants to step up and play up a level or they're not going to play down a level against the opponent that we happen to be playing. And the 2000 year was a good year. We won some games that were close that we should have blown people out, and we were in games where we're playing above our head and played very well. Obviously, this game being one of them.
I want to make a comment on the preparation part because it didn't matter what game we were playing or who we were playing up against. Coach Cruz had us ready every single game, and without a doubt, we thought we could win every game we went into. And, some people would call us crazy, but we had phenomenal game plans. We mentally were prepared. Now, we didn't always execute the best, right? I mean, we obviously didn't in many of those times. And, I think this game specifically, we had a moment before that last drive. We should have beat Georgia. Well, we should have won about 7 of those games Coach just mentioned. But the ones that really stick out to me was Georgia we had beat. We got a questionable penalty in that game that hurt us at the end of that game. But then earlier, it was 4 or 5 games earlier we played Georgia Tech, and we had them dead to rights. And it was on the offense. We just needed to get a first down or 2, and that game was over. And, or the defense stopped them somehow and we win the game, right? But offensively, we took that personal. And I can tell you it was a totally different mindset on that last drive. And that all goes to Cruz because he had us ready game in and game out. Ryan can tell you, nobody thought we could win some of these games except for us, and obviously the fans that were there and stuff. But we were always ready. I can promise you that.
Yeah, Tyson hit the nail on the head on that. It's the atmosphere. It's hard to describe unless you're on the team. But every time we traveled, whatever hotel we stayed at, training for the week, from the coaching staff to the players, we believed 100% we were going to win that game, regardless of who we were playing. Every team should think that, but sometimes even like when you're supposed to be the underdog in that situation, we wanted it just that much more every time. And these guys gave it everything they got. And the preparation, like Tyson was saying, even from the kick for that game, a lot of people may not know this, but Coach did a great job preparing me for that, actually making me super nervous even at practice, because he would actually just pick random days during the week, and we would run sprints sometimes at the end of practice. And sometimes to get out of the sprints, he would say, okay, Javi, right hash, 42-yarder, you make it, nobody's running sprints today. You miss it, we're all running. And to me, that actually was more stressful than any game playing in front of anybody. I didn't want to let my teammates down. They're all staring at me, they're trying to take their pads off. They're like, are you going to make this? I'm like, oh, my God, this isn't like practice anymore. This is legit. But that stress, so with me, Mike Hedge, and Jimmy Frizzell going out there and doing that and getting that stress and getting that experience and getting that preparedness as much as you can and making that player as nervous and prepared for that potential situation for a big game opportunity, which eventually happened and made my mental capacity to be able to take that. So it was great.
Well, Ryan, let's go to you for a second. People, I know you got all the balls in the world, right? But you were still a young quarterback back then. Obviously, a big road game. What were your nerves and emotions kind of heading into that game, SEC Stadium, on the road, big time opponent? How are you feeling, pre-kickoff and on the field before the game?
Listening to Tyson talk about preparation and him being a senior, I was the exact opposite as a freshman. I was a redshirt freshman, just trying to make sure I knew my reads, my hots, understand protection, all that stuff, where I wasn't really thinking, oh my God, we're going to play Alabama. It was just the next game, so going into the game, I'm not gonna lie to you, going into the game, 80,000, that was my first time in a huge stadium playing that in front of that many people. I felt like I was a little rattled early on. I'll never forget, I think I threw a pick, and I came off, and Coach Cruz ripped me. He got into me, and, it was a terrible throw, and it kind of snapped me back to reality. It snapped me back to get focused, and he actually pissed me off. He got me pissed off, and that adrenaline rush kind of snapped me back into, getting sharp. And I remember we ran a bootleg play the next series, and I hit Mario Jackson an over route. And like when it happened, I was like, all right, we're back. It's normal. It doesn't matter how many people are here. It's just a normal game. Let's go. And but Coach Cruz was always great at reading the situation when to love you up or when to maybe put a foot in your butt to get you going.
Well, Coach, let's go. We have a bunch of offensive guys on the show, so I'm sure the defensive guys are watching this going, what about me? But early in the game, McKibben comes up with a really big interception that, helps you really kind of jump out to an early lead. How big a play was that for your defense early on in that particular game?
Well, anytime you can turn the ball over early in the game, especially in that environment, playing on the road in that stadium, I think it's huge, giving us the ball in the plus territory. And early on, we weren't a real dynamic run team. It was kind of running back by committee back then. We threw the ball effectively, but we started out running the football, and then Ryan hit Kenny Clark, I guess, for a short touchdown to put us up, and Javier had a field goal to put us up 10-0. So that was huge when you're talking about 80,000 homecoming in Alabama. So defense came up big the whole game. Andrew Zal was a very talented quarterback. He threw 4 picks in that game. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't understand why they didn't give it to that big running back the whole game. I don't get it, but I'm glad they didn't. So defense played extremely well, and obviously the offense stepped up when they needed to win the game.
You mentioned field goal early. We went up 10-0 following the turnover, and then that touchdown we just saw. So Javier, for you, we've discussed a lot in the last couple of weeks. The current UCF team, the kicker went out to kick a field goal into the game without having attempted a field goal the whole day. for you, you were able to kick 3 other kicks during that day, especially early in the game, then a couple as the game went on. How much does that help you when it comes down to crunch time at the end of the game?
It definitely helps a little bit get on the field, obviously, and, get the jitters out a little bit. But, again, a lot of it is preparation prior to the game even being there, kind of like we discussed, and the people that you depend on. So I depend on my line, my holder, my snapper, and I had the utmost confidence that they were going to 100% every time they went out on that field make my job easy. And they did. So to go in those situations and go out there, you have to have the mental capacity to basically block everything out. It's tough. It's easier said than done, trust me, but also to have those kind of players go out there and make your job easier. And they don't always get the credit in those situations, but you have to trust in your teammates and your coaches and everything, and prepare yourself as much as you can prior to that. Because there has been games I played too that, I didn't kick a ball until, third quarter or something like that. But even then, at least I was able to punt. But it does make a big difference if you get out there on the field a little bit, get the adrenaline dump out of your system, especially in a big crowd like that. But again, a lot of it has to do with it's mental toughness, in my opinion, for kicking. And it also is the guys you depend on the most, which is your line, your holder, and your snapper. Because, again, you're a team, and those guys are the ones that are going to make your job easier. And when I go out there, not one doubt will enter my head that they're not going to do their job exactly how they're supposed to. Because any little doubt enters your mind, it's over. Any doubt.
Javier, take us into pregame, by the way. How does this work out? You're out there early, right? You're kicking. Do you go to Coach Kruczek and tell him what your range is that day, where you're good from, or Coach, are you watching to see kind of how Javier's kicking to know if he's got the leg that you need that day?
I had a kicking coach. Matt Rock was with us, right, Javier?
Rock.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Coach Rock was with us, and he was an outstanding kicking coach. So he would let me know before the game what the kicker's range was, Javier's range was, and Javier was spot on the whole game. I mean, he had 8 kicks and he was 8 for 8, 4 extra points and 4 field goals. You can't ask any more of a kicker. And our whole operation, field goal wise, and Javier touched on it, from Mike Hedge to Jimmy Frizzell to Javier kicking the ball, protection. That's how you win games. We were in a lot of close games, and I thought our field goal operation did an outstanding job 95% of the season. So it's a tribute to the guys that take special teams important, because it is extremely important.
Guys, this game was crazy, back and forth, a lot of big swings. After being up 10-0, they scored 24 unanswered points. I'll ask Tyson, you as a leader on this team, one of the older guys on the team, how do you keep everybody calm and make sure nobody's panicking when you see Alabama on a run like that?
I like to say, well, you just do this or you do that. I mean, honestly, we were all kind of shocked because it was the way it happened so quickly. I mean, we had a fumble. The last score for them to go up to 24. I think, if I remember right, there was a fumble and they scooped and scored. And then they kicked it. They kicked off, and then I think we bobbled the kickoff, and we were down on the 2-yard line, down 24-10. And as everyone's mentioned, it was homecoming. It was crazy, and we had kept the crowd out of the game most of the game because we were able to get up early. So we actually, so we're pinned back deep, and it's 2-yard line, and we can barely hear ourselves think at that point. And I like to say, you say this or you say that. I think we were just, hey, what's the next play? And we always would huddle on the sideline, and we broke and we went out. And at the time, we didn't know it was a TV timeout. And I'll never forget this moment because we're on the 2-yard line and we're out in formation. And I was out on the left side, and they're playing Sweet Home Alabama. We didn't re-huddle. We just stayed there and kind of waited for the TV timeout. And the DB in front of me is dancing, and he's like, Hinshaw, it's about to get ugly. And all I was thinking was, God, I really hope it doesn't get ugly.
I remember that. I remember that moment, yeah.
Because I was like, man, it could get ugly. I mean, look, they were an extremely talented team. And I can tell you physically, they were the best team we had played all year, and probably the best team we had played in the past couple of years, at least that I had played against. They were big, strong, fast, and it was almost getting out of hand. And I said, we got to do something. And I think we ran our favorite play run out. I think we ran 97 opposite.
77 switch.
77 switch at opposite.
Yep.
And we hit that.
Tall L opposite, 77 switch.
There you go.
Yep.
There was. So we hit that, and next thing you know, we had 98 yards. And to me, that was the turning point in the game because we calmed down. It was like a 16-play drive, and everyone contributed across the board. Tight ends, receivers, running backs, and we drove down in a situation that typically teams don't respond to in that environment. So I think really to answer your question is, I think as a team we responded exactly how we were coached to do, and things fell into place. And that moment, I think we realized, hey, we can be in any situation. We can win this game. We can play with these guys. And I think it gave us a lot of confidence in that drive.
Well, so 24-10, obviously one of the most iconic plays happens up next. Ryan, you throw a dart to Tyson in the end zone for a touchdown. Obviously, it's one of those plays you see the highlights over and over and over again. Ryan, take us from your vantage point. What did you see on that play? What were you looking for on that play? Were you just kind of hoping Tyson would get open and you flung it to him? What were you looking at from the QB standpoint?
It's the one where he gets his helmet knocked off.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I think we went all hitch H corner, if I remember right. And tell you the truth, it's a terrible read and a terrible throw. They play cover 3, and I should be throwing the outside hitch for the completion, but I forced it to the corner route, which is a big no-no against cover 3. And if the corner makes a better play, it's probably a pick. But luckily, God was on our side that day, and I had enough of my noodle arm to get it there. And Tyson made a hell of a play. He's a tough guy who's fearless and didn't care about taking the hit. And, things worked out well for us. But as Tyson was talking about, that 98-yard drive, I think that's where we actually won the game. When we went 98 yards and we made it 17-24 right before half, that's where I actually think we won the game, where we, at least offensively, got into a great rhythm that we really didn't get out of the rest of the game.
That makes a huge difference based on the drive, like Ryan was talking about. Just even from my vantage point on the sideline and other players watching, the way these guys were playing and how they were driving and how the motivation, the momentum was going, everyone feeds off that. It's wild. It was great.
Coach, do you agree with Ryan's assessment? Was that a terrible read on his part? Were you on the sidelines yelling
Coach,
for him to
tell the truth, else? Coach. Tell the truth.
It's the coach saying, no, great. But, it was a hell of a throw and a great effort and catch. But I'll agree with all of them. That was the most instrumental drive in the game for us. Most critical drive confidence-wise, because we come out in the third quarter and we score 17 points. They didn't answer.
Yep.
I mean, going into halftime, the guys had a kick in their step they didn't have when the game started. They knew they belonged in that stadium. And that was critical, coming out, making adjustments at halftime, going into the second half, and then jumping on them the way we did, both on offense and defense. On defense, Davin Bush had a huge interception for a touchdown. Which was real instrumental in getting us kick-started too. So, but that last drive of 98 yards in Tuscaloosa, in homecoming, again, the environment doesn't happen very often.
And I'll tell you this. As a redshirt freshman, going into halftime, I remember Coach Cruz and Coach Mack talking to us. All right, we just went 98 yards. We're getting the ball first. I think we got the ball first again coming out. Let's go do it again. And there was a confidence in the room that, all right, we can do that again. That wasn't very difficult. We do our jobs. You do what you're supposed to do, and we'll be successful. So,
the best part of it though was it was on the end zone where our fans were. We actually scored, twice. The only one was Kenny on the first touchdown. The rest of the touchdowns, the pick six, Bush had, everything was on that side. And when my helmet got knocked off, I've got the picture hanging on my wall actually of my tongue out, looking at our fans. We probably had, 3,000 fans, as many as they let us. And I'm going to tell you, they were so loud entire game. And I felt like we played the game on that side of the field with our fans the entire time. And it was, I remember just kind of crawling towards him with my tongue out and thinking, yeah, there it is, and thinking, hey, man, we can do this. And, it was awesome. That was the best part because I felt like we were almost playing at home each time we scored.
I got two quick questions.
After the play, right?
Hold on, Mike. I got two quick.
The helmet popping off makes the play that much cooler. Looking back.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's not like helmets pop off very often. It's not like they just hit me both at the same time, and the angle, I guess, of the hit just kind of elevated my helmet. And then it fell in one of their arms, like on their stomach, and then he throws it like 10 yards, which is great. And it was actually kind of a wide receiver's dream because you're not allowed to take your helmet off when you're on the field. It's a personal foul. So, here I am with my helmet off. I got the world that can see me. We just scored. It was kind of a wide receiver dream to run around without your helmet on for a minute. But, yeah.
Hey, Schneider, can we talk about that dance really quickly? What was that?
That was me showing the Mike Kruczek guns, baby. The guns. Hey, Coach, I noticed the sleeveless shirt, man, looking good.
Some things never change, Ryan.
So that starts a swing. We ended up answering their 24 straight points with 27 straight of our own. That touchdown, then another touchdown coming at halftime. You mentioned the Davin Bush interception return. Plays by just an inch. Maybe it looked like he might have stepped out of bounds on that play. The touchdown that they returned for a fumble, their guy dropped the ball before he crossed the end zone. That didn't get called. I mean, just little things like that. Every little play in this game, one thing here and there could have changed the whole outcome.
It could have. It's a good thing there wasn't any
instant
replay.
Yep.
Yeah, the result might have been different. Who knows? The game's different nowadays. But I'll tell you what, that game was incredibly well played by our football team, and will go down in UCF history, obviously, as one of the biggest victories early in the infancy of this football program.
Then they answered with 14 more of their own. They take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Now, we just came off Adam and I were there in 98. We lost the game to Auburn late. We lost the Georgia game late the year before. Georgia Tech. I don't know about you guys, but us as fans, we're saying, oh, here we go again, and we're gonna find a way to lose this one. How do you guys stay confident in that game after just taking their punches and falling behind again so late in the game?
Go ahead, Ryan.
I think it started off in practice. I forget what day it was. What day would it have been, Coach? Thursday practice where we did the 2-minute drill?
Yes.
So every Thursday we did the 2-minute drill against the starting defense, and we probably went 6 straight weeks of going down and scoring. So, I remember, on the sideline with 2 minutes, 10 seconds left, whatever it was, just in the huddle and everyone being confident, all right, we've done this during practice for 6 straight weeks. Let's just do what we do, go out there and execute. And there was a real confidence, I believe, with the team that we're going to go down and put Javier in the position to kick the game winner. And the funny thing was, I remember when we went down there and got him in position. There was no question he was going to make it. I knew he was going to make it. I was more worried about the damn kickoff coming after us making the tackle or something like that. That's what I was worried about. But the confidence of going down there and handling the situation was all done in practice. It was done for weeks leading up to that situation.
There was no panic in this situation, in this whole operation. These guys knew exactly what we were going to run. I tell you something about Ryan. He is so mentally tough, physically tough, and with great quarterback talent and great belief in himself and the players. And I had no question what he was going to do. Extremely accurate, knew where to go with the football, and nothing got to him, even as a redshirt freshman, which was so very impressive. As he started playing, getting into this game. I mean, he didn't start the season as the starter, and worked himself into this position and did an incredible job, 8 for 9, 7 for 8, whatever it was, to get us in position for Javier to knock that thing through from 37 yards. But a lot of it comes down to the quarterback being able to handle the pressure and get the ball to the guy that's going to make a play, and he did a great job during that drive.
I knew we were in a good spot because Ryan didn't know any better.
That's probably so.
Yeah, Ryan's like, wait, what's score? What's happening?
Yeah.
And he just reacted. No,
That's it.
Look, Ryan, the one thing Ryan always brought to the table is incredible competitiveness and calmness. And, talk about that 2-minute drills. It's not like that was easy. We had a good defense. We had a really good defense, and they played great that day. Competing against them is really probably what helped us win that game, because we would compete against them every single week, and they were a heck of a team. And, you met Asante, Devin, we had Tito. I mean, there were so many of them over there. And hey, we've done it in practice. Let's just go out and execute and drive it down the field. And the one that on that drive that he hit me on, I think I was probably the third or fourth read on that, because I was lined up twins left running across.
Yeah.
And Ryan sat in that pocket, and our O-line did an amazing job that drive. If you watch that drive, I don't think Ryan gets touched in that drive. And he's just sitting in there, and throws it almost like sidearm. And I catch it before I go out of bounds on the opposite side. So, it's not like it's Ryan playing catch with me. There's so many other things that have to happen to make that work, including us playing against our defense, including the O-line block, and including all the situation with the extra. Personally, I was more, when they called a timeout, I went over to Frizzell and I said, I'm not worried about Javi. I just don't want you to screw up the hole.
Oh.
No, I was never worried. I mean, that was literally the best operation. I mean, those guys were good. I don't think Mike Hedge, other than the very first snap of his career, ever missed another snap in his entire career.
Mike, like I said earlier, he was solid. Jimmy was solid. I had
so solid.
Zero doubts that ball was going to be snapped perfect and put in the spot because of those two guys. And then the line making their blocks. And it's funny, if you watch that kick, if you guys see Chris Decker on the out there, every time I watch that kick, when that guy jumps, I can see him in my peripheral doing that. So I'm focused on the spot, but you can still see stuff in front of you. But I knew Decker didn't budge. Had Decker jumped back, not saying that would have affected me anyway, or could have been, or could have called it either way, because you know how refs are sometimes. But he was stone cold, ironclad, and he didn't flinch, didn't move. The entire line was like that. That's just kind of the reason why I tell people that. That's the mindset all these guys had. Ryan, Tyson, everybody was on that field. They were ready to win, man. It was great.
Well, Javi, take us before that. So we see Ryan and Tyson on the field leading that drive. What are you doing on the sideline in that drive? Are you kicking the net? Are you just getting your leg warm? Are you watching what they're doing? What are you doing?
I'm getting cursed out by at least 10,000 people, probably. I mean, you're gonna be disgraced to your family type thing, or you're gonna miss. Everyone's gonna laugh at you. To pretty bad stuff, but you try to block it out. You just kick in the net, watch the field, get comfortable. Kick in the net again, talk to Mike. Jimmy's on the field actually playing most of the time. So Matt Rock, like Coach Cruz was saying, he was my anchor majority of those games, especially with big teams like that. He was so calm and cool. He'd come over and say, hey, man, just like practice, you know how to do it. A little right to left wind, grass is a little thick, just little things that I'm not thinking about. He reminds me of, and just his very calm demeanor helped me so much. So it's a little bit of that back and forth on the sideline.
Coach, was there a distance, a yard that you wanted Ryan and the offense to get to where you felt comfortable that Javi would make it? Was there a goal that you had in mind?
Well, obviously the closer the better, but I knew Javi had a great range, and it wasn't a whole lot of wind that day. Actually, it was a beautiful day. And, he'd already been 3 for 3. Obviously, those field goals were, 25, 27 yards in that area.
Yeah, it was great.
But we would have tried it from 50, obviously. I think he could have hit it from there that day, because he was striking the ball well on kickoffs. He was hitting the extra points well. So I had great confidence in his ability to reach whatever distance we needed. So by the grace of the Lord, it was 37 yards, and he drilled it through, and the rest is history.
Ryan, how about you? Were you aiming for a spot on the field, or were you just slinging that thing and hoping to get yards?
I was just trying to do my job. Whatever the play call was, just trying to execute the play. And get Javi as close as we could. There's no specific spot we're trying to get to.
We took
Javier, you
over with
mentioned-
what, 224 in the game?
I thought it was less than that. I can't remember. I remember. I think we had maybe 0 timeouts. If I remember
Yeah,
right,
we didn't have any timeouts.
Yeah, we just went right down the field, and we were good that we hit a couple of out routes, a couple of quick outs.
Right.
I think I hit Corey Baker on an option route that he was able to get out of bounds. But it was bam,
Davis
bam,
got
bam,
a
bam.
couple.
Yep.
Another big play on that drive is they were holding us all game, and they started playing man. And I was talking to the refs. I'm like, I'm telling you, they're holding us. They're holding us. And if you watch, I think it was either the play before or 2 plays before when he hit TD on a little hitch, they held me running vertical, which was a huge play because I think we didn't have any timeouts at that time. And it moved us. It was a holding penalty, which stopped the clock, then moved us up, and I think got us a little bit closer to that field goal range. So, that's where it helps. Talking to the refs. Oh, here's the cross.
Oh, stepping up in the pocket, baby. Look at that.
Great
Right
movement.
oh no, he must hit Jimmy because I think that's where the guy holds me right there. He's holding me, and then a flag comes in. See, we're at the 35, so we got an extra 10 yards there, or whatever, an extra 5 yards. So that and it stopped the clock, which was nice. But things just kind of fell into place.
Javier, you mentioned seeing the guy jump off sides. We see all the time quarterbacks see a guy jump off sides and they know they have a free play to take a shot deep. At any point, I know it's just bang, bang. But as you're approaching the ball, you say, maybe I got a free kick here? Or
I was thinking about nothing except for taking it through the uprights. I didn't care about what was going to happen after that play. That moment, I had to do what exactly I had to do. My mind was blank, which was the best I could get at that
That's
point.
the way you're supposed to be.
Yep.
Oh.
I still can't understand why Decker didn't move, though. I mean, he's not looking at the ball. He's looking at the guy.
It was great.
And the guy moves. He has every right to move himself. I mean, he should be almost moving at that point. And they're right. If he moves, I think there's a flag, and we're moving back and having to kick it again.
Agreed. And that's like what I said. If I saw Decker jump back, then that might have changed my mindset, like you just discussed about. It could enter my mind about, now I know they're gonna throw a flag. This kick's not gonna count. I don't want. You can't think about any of that stuff. And again, that has to attribute to the line, the preparation prior to all my guys, and it was great. You did a great job.
Now, and I also like that Javi wanted it really, really dramatic. He didn't want to kick it right down the center. He wanted to kick it on the right goalpost and just draw it in, like a baseball swing draw.
People have asked me about that and said, because it's the right hash, and of course it's a big kick. So I call it a punch kick. So it was a kick, but I want it to be as accurate as possible, obviously. But I didn't care how pretty my form was. I didn't care how much my follow through. I don't care that it went to the top bleachers. He could have made it from 60. I squared my hips up, punched it, aimed right at the inside of that upright because I didn't want to. From my right-footed kicker kicking from right to left, it's usually if you're going to pull it, you're going to pull it way left. So I'd rather straight and just into the inside of the upright to the right. That's kind of what I was aiming for. So, yeah.
Yeah, and somehow that kick only took 3 seconds, which who's operating that clock? How did that work? Where they get an extra shot? I thought for sure, no matter what, that 6 seconds was going to run off, but I guess not.
Tyson, what are you doing on the sideline, Tyson? Are you watching? Are you one of those guys that turns around, doesn't want to see it? Are you watching locked arms with your teammates? What are you doing as Javier's lining up?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was exhausted and we were all, I think we were on a knee, kind of locked in, holding on to each other and just believing and giving them our good juju. Whatever we needed to give them, we give it to them. And I'll tell you, I would have bet my house on it, which I didn't have a house at the time, so we didn't have to give a bet, I guess. But we knew he was going to make it. I mean, there was no doubt that he was going to make it. And thank God he did, because if he didn't, and after all of the close games we had, I would have spent a lot of money in some type of therapy, mental therapy, to come that close that many times. So,
I think I would too.
That's why every time I see Javi, I give him a beer, a burger, whatever he wants, right? Because it saved me a lot of money.
So, like you mentioned, there's still 3 seconds on the clock. Everybody thought the game was over on the kick. It probably should have been. But now we have to kick off from the 20. And the play, Adam's got the highlight. The play that seemed to go on for like 20 minutes, final kick return. I mean, Javier, you're on the field. You kick off. You must be exhausted. You see people just collapsing at the end of the play instead of celebrating.
Well, we were so far back because of celebration penalties that we want to give them a chance. So it was like a squib kick. You just kick it like a line drive, let it bounce and roll, and hopefully your back guy doesn't get it. Yeah, you can show right there. So you want him to at least fumble a little bit. He gets it, and they're running back and forth. And, of course, I'm supposed to play the safety, and I'm just saying, please tackle him. Please tackle him. Please tackle him. I'm just running back and forth, side to side, and eventually called it. So everyone falling out was more of just the relief that we
Let me tell you, we
right
had
here, it
so
looks like guys are on the field.
Oh, yeah, because he had been tackled like twice. And we had so much fun watching this game, because of the people that, like, literally are passing out at the end. And I think it was Demps or right here at the very end, right there, he just falls. Demps or whoever that was hilarious. But, yeah, I think, Coach, you're screaming going, hey, that was illegal. It's on them, right? And then they said it was game. And then we just ran right to our fans, right to that fence line, and celebrated with them. It's great.
Schneider, I know you're a competitor. How much did you want to run out on the field and tackle that guy yourself?
I wasn't athletic enough to do that.
You weren't going to catch him.
Yeah. I knew Javier would make the kick. Worried about kickoff return. But the best feeling of all time, and a moment I'll never forget was after the game, running over, to the fence line. My parents and my brothers, that moment with that. That's something I'll never forget. And it was a hard fought victory. I feel like we deserved it. It was great. It was a great part of it.
You guys mentioned the UCF fans in attendance. You can hear, if you've watched the game back, you can hear the chant of UCF, even coming down on that last drive. And then after the kick, we didn't get to even watch the game back in Orlando. It wasn't on regular TV. It was on pay-per-view. So I was listening to the call on the radio. I had a couple buddies that were at the game. But now reliving it here and seeing the replays now is just awesome. I could watch that game 1,000 times.
Yeah, and if you listen to Mark Daniels on that call, I think he may have destroyed the press box up there. I mean, they were going nuts themselves. And they had been with us our whole career, really, those guys. And I think it was a relief to them. I think there was a big sigh of relief more than anything that we kind of got the monkey off our back, and we can play with anybody. And I can promise you, nobody wanted to play us. And that was the biggest struggle being an independent. We wanted to play the Louisvilles of the world, or the Wake Forest, or the Marylands, or whoever. We seemed like we played the top 15 teams or nobody. And that's exactly why, because like I said, we were prepared and we could play with anybody. We necessarily weren't, the first round draft picks for any SEC team, right? But we were a bunch of scrappy guys that believed in each other and got better every day by practicing against each other and developed ourselves. And it takes a lot of hard work and commitment to get to that point. And it all it just fit that day.
Coach, how about you? How did you feel? Or Tyson mentioned a sense of relief. Obviously, you've been with the program for such a long time. What were your emotions as you walked off the field that day?
Indescribable. As it's already been discussed, how many close games we had played, and I've been involved with all of them, even before they were in the program. To play 60 minutes, to win in Tuscaloosa on homecoming on such a special day with such a special group of guys meant the world to me. And like we talked about memories, this is the greatest one for me. I can't put it in words, to be honest. I was speechless after the game. Mark Daniels and Gary Paris and and Jerry O'Neal, who all three were with the program for a long time. They talked to me. I didn't know how to express my feelings after the game. I was wore out, just like the players were worn out. I was emotionally shot from every snap, offense, defense, special teams. And I love these guys for what they were able to do in the program during their careers and bringing the program to where it's kind of progressed to at this point. But obviously a huge win for us, and something that, as I get older, I don't reflect so much on the past. I'm still coaching, but when you called me to do this thing, I had forgotten about Alabama this year, about 20 years and the anniversary and all that. But with Tyson and Ryan and Javier being on the program, and you could have had another 20 guys that were instrumental in that victory be on this thing that were just as critical, would have been a highlight. It's great to be on the show with these guys and reminisce about a really special time in UCF football history.
All right, now we got the serious stuff out of the way. Javier, take us to the party afterwards. What's the locker room like? What's the team playing like? You guys get back to Orlando. 20 years have passed. I know you're in law enforcement now. I think the statute of limitations has certainly gone away. What can you tell us about the after parties?
I don't know about that. Well, like Tyson touched earlier, and so did Ryan, they played Sweet Home Alabama relentlessly in that stadium. I mean, warm-ups, halftime, TV timeouts. It was great. So we went to, a bunch of us did a little place called Howl at the Moon, different places like that, and we were just feeding him all night, the piano guys playing Sweet Home Alabama, and we were singing it all night. So that was just a little bit, but it was a good time. We had a good time.
Javier, you were a celebrity back in campus. I remember you threw out the first pitch for the baseball game when Alabama came to town. We were at that game chanting 40-38.
Well, that's what's funny because, again, I'm the kicker. So, again, and I'm a big kicker, but I wasn't like, I didn't walk around campus. No one knew that I played football, which was fine. And then after that game, people were like, hey, you kicker, right? I'm like, what? How do you know who I am? And that's kind of what it's like, oh, my God, people pay attention to that, And then they asked me to throw out the pitch. I'm like, okay, because they were playing, they were playing Alabama. And I hadn't thrown a baseball since Little League. And they went out there, and I forget who the catcher was. I think his last name was Frost. And he goes out there, and I knew him. And he thought it'd be fun. He gets behind the plate and gets down like super low, like strike zone tiny. And I said, man, I'm going to dirt this thing in front of everybody, and they're going to laugh at me. I felt like almost as nervous as I did in the game now throwing a baseball. But I got it to him. It would have hit it over the fence, but at least he got to his glove.
You probably never have to buy another beer in Orlando again. Have you bought a beer? Or they're on the house now everywhere you go.
No, I'm not I don't think I look as much. I lost some hair. I don't think I blend in. I don't think they recognize me. It's 20 years old, young kids now. So, but it is great to see the campus and everything, how much it's grown. It's awesome. It's great.
How about for you, Tyson? How did that feel for you as the elder statesman of the team, getting back to campus, seeing all the students kind of excited about the win and seeing, the trajectory of the program at that point in time? How cool was that for you? Obviously, you have lineage in the program with your own family as well.
Yeah.
How cool was that for you to kind of see that victory and kind of know you were leaving UCF in a good spot at that point?
Yeah, first of all, the locker room was crazy. We were all going nuts and celebrating together. And I think it was an extra long celebration before we jumped in the showers and hit the bus. For me, I was crazy sore because I had separated my shoulder earlier that week, and then I couldn't lift my arm before a game, and then Doc's helped me out with that to get me ready to get out there so I could play. So my arm was like hanging. I had ice on it just to try to get through the night, really. And then we jumped on the plane, and it was kind of a party on the plane. I mean, I think we're all just kind of giddy and looking forward to landing. And I remember us thinking, hey, you think anybody's going to be there when we land? You think anybody's going to be there? And we're like, oh, I don't know, because it was late. I think the game was at 3:00. And I don't think we got back till about 1:00 or somewhere around there. And there were tons of people there. And they were loud and going crazy. And that was a pretty cool experience. I remember news cameras were there. And they were, asking for interviews and stuff. And then I personally didn't go out that night because I was like, I could barely move. But they all did that for me that night. But My brother was on staff at the time, so it was a big win for him too. He was a quarterback coach, and he got to chew out Ryan every now and again as well. I think he did that day. I do remember at one point when we were celebrating, I turned and he had come down from the box because he was always up in the box. And I think he hit me harder than any guy hit me that day. I mean, he was just beating me up, and I'm on the ground because he's shaking me. So he was so happy. So, when I made the comment, it was a relief. We didn't just win that game for us. We won it for all of the other players that have ever played in the program. We won it for the fans. Our fans have been phenomenal, all the way back to we were 1AA and my brother was playing. Our fans are some of the best fans out there. So it was great to enjoy it with them and then come home and enjoy it. And even on campus, it was kind of like what everybody was talking about. But for us, it was like, okay, we got to get on to the next game. We basically get a night to have some fun. And then we're practicing the next morning. We're running, trying to get some of that soreness out on Sunday morning. But it was a pretty crazy plane ride and pretty crazy plane landing for sure. But I'll take that any day. That pain, it was worth it.
We've got a bunch of questions that have come in, so I'm going to put some of these on the screen. This one's for you, Javier. Nelson wants to know: are you still in touch with Hedge and Frizzell? Were you guys able to go to the Peach Bowl together?
Actually, I saw Mike recently. We've another Mike Holzman, and Paige Sessoms and a couple other guys that were, different years there when I was there. They actually put it on like a Zoom chat. Tyson's been in and a couple other guys. So they do it like Malden's in it, a bunch of guys. And every like Thursday or so, I believe they still do it, but I've been working every night. They do like a group chat, and everyone kind of retouches and says how they are in their life and current, situations. And I got to talk to Mike recently a little bit. I haven't seen Jimmy in a long time, actually. Frizzell I haven't talked to. So, and no, we haven't we didn't go to the Peach Bowl. No, I wish we did.
Tyson, I guess this one's for you, Tyson. Carson wants to know how excited were you when you got your helmet knocked off?
Carson, he's literally asking me questions. I don't know if I was excited about my helmet getting knocked off, seeing how I could bust my head open, right? But obviously with the play, I was excited. It worked out. So, like Ryan said, it was a flag route, and I remember coming out of the cut, I looked and I'm thinking, well, he's not going to throw it to me. The corner's sitting right there, and nor am I going to keep running to the flag because the guy's standing there. And I kind of turned around, and Ryan and I did that a lot throughout the years. I came there as a quarterback, so I kind of felt like I thought like a quarterback when I played receiver, and I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to turn around here, and if he throws it to me, it may work out. And sometimes I guess we had that ESP or whatever, and it worked out. But it's time for him to get to bed. That's what I would say.
Ryan, this one's not really a question, but more of a comment for you. Captain Veg, I think, if I say that right, said you always seem cool and collected. Where did that come from for you? How did you, I guess, get that cool and collected demeanor?
Coach, you think I was cool and collected? I think I was more fire and brimstone than anything.
Well, Ryan, you were a very passionate football player.
Yeah.
But on the field, everybody's impression was cool and collected. That's the way you played the game. I know who you were as a football player. I know how important the game was. Like I said, mentally tough, physically tough, with great quarterback skills that had a passion to win and believed in himself. But very poised and played the game at a very high level. But cool and collected, I would use that as a part of defining you, yeah.
I think where that came from would be the way we practice too. We took practice serious. It became muscle memory, and when it becomes muscle for a quarter, you're going to be successful, It was off of the coaches, that was off of the players too. Tyson routes hard, the lineman blocking well, and that he's got to a good rhythm, and that's where that confidence came from.
Ryan was a great trash talker too. Don't kid yourself. That guy was not afraid to talk a little trash.
And Ryan always looked like he was having a good time regardless of situation on the field.
That's true.
I think a lot of guys fed off that.
Yeah.
Never
Coach,
backed down from anybody. It didn't matter who it was. So,
his ability to just sit in the pocket and take a hit and just bounce right back. Like, I think that's
That's
kind of
him.
where the cool and collected thing is coming from.
Well,
Coach,
you know your strengths, and I wasn't going to outrun anyone, so I figured I might as well.
Coach, I hate to do this to you, but we're getting a lot of these in the chat, and I think this guy maybe has the right to ask you this question. This comes from Paige Sessoms. Who's got the biggest bicep? Or Paige Sessoms?
It's not even close. Paige Sessoms. Oh my gosh.
And a kind of an offshoot of that question here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. We got a lot of Sons out, guns out here. Paige is he's loving your cutoff sleeves there. Somebody wants to know, Coach, if you're willing to flex for the camera. I'm not sure if that's something you're into right now, but we're getting a few.
I don't know.
Oh, Coach, let's see those guns, Coach. Let's see them.
I'll show you my left.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Better than my left. Yeah.
I am 30 pounds lighter than when I coach these guys. I'm 180 pounds.
I'm 100 pounds heavier, so.
There you go.
Me too.
Ryan, we got to have a conversation. You're going the wrong way, bro.
Holzman's saying that Cruz had bigger legs, though.
Oh.
I think that I got him on the legs.
Yeah.
All right, this is for anybody I know Coach and Ryan, you guys are both coaching football in the area. So maybe Tyson, Javier, if you guys want to take this one. How much are you guys following UCF football these days?
I actually follow it very closely. A bunch of guys I work with, too, are big UCF fans, and I'm always kind of paying attention to what's going on. I'm not able to make, obviously, a bunch of games just based on my schedule. I have 2 kids actively in competitive sports, which is great. That's my job. But I am always paying attention to what UCF's doing. And I love watching the progression of, like Coach Kruczek said, and Tyson, scrappy guys to kind of where they developed and how the program's gotten to where it's at. And we all, I think, have a sense of pride in that we took part in a little piece of that to where it is today. And it's great to watch them continue to progress as a team. So I'm always paying attention.
Yeah, same here. I don't get to as many games as I'd like. My kids play Pop Warner football. I've got one now in high school playing football. But so Saturdays, my Saturdays get caught up in that usually because I'm coaching them. So which is a ton of fun. In fact, we won the national championship last year for the Pee Wee team, which was cool last year. But yeah, I mean, no doubt we follow them, and like they said, I think some of them don't realize how good they've got it. Like our old Wayne Dench and what we had versus what they have. I mean, it's not even close. And I think and I'm sure they probably think what they have isn't as nice as somebody else or whatever. But I can tell you, I'll never forget when we played Georgia. Terry, one of our equipment managers, Terry, remember Terry? So Terry told us that our annual equipment budget was the same as Georgia's weekly budget. So, I mean, that's like what we were up against. So, they'd get gloves and different helmets and this. We got one helmet, we got a pair of practice shoes and a pair of game shoes, and figure it out. And I mean, it was a significant disadvantage that quite frankly, we were in almost every time. But where they're at now in the facilities and on campus stadium, I mean, it's awesome, and it's cool for us because we were a part of it, right? That built it, and it's fun to watch them, and I love seeing them throw it around like that. It's awesome.
Tyson did remind me of one story about the equipment, and it has to do with Alabama. I had one kickoff tee, and it was a soccer-style kickoff tee. It's a black block with a little hole in it, okay? And there's a toe tee, which is, an orange tee with 2 big spikes that you cannot kick soccer-style. Well, that tee, my kickoff tee was not packed for that game. So we realized that when we get there, I don't have a kickoff tee. So you have to put the ball on. Coach, you may not have heard the story. We kind of hit all that at the time. So we didn't have a kickoff tee. So me and Coach Rocker are like, what are we going to do? So me and Coach Rock, Mike Hedge, I think everyone else knew about it. We went over to the other kickers for Alabama and their punters, and they, of course, had, 7 kickers kicking. They had 10 kickoff tees and all this stuff. And I told them what happened. Hey, you guys mind if we borrow a kickoff tee just for the game? And they're like, oh, we'll talk to our equipment guy. He comes over with the orange toe tee with the big giant spikes on it. I'm like, I can't use that. So they leave, and they're done warming up, and all their kickoff tees are still out on the field because I guess someone else picks them up. I nonchalant walked out there, took a knee like I was stretching, put one of the kickoff tees in my helmet, and I used that the rest of the game. So
there you go.
I took it back home with me. So I don't have the statute of limitation in Alabama.
I had no clue about that, Javier,
they may.
at all.
Yeah.
Very resourceful on your part, and Coach Rock.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Coach, did you know that story?
What was that?
Coach, did you know that story, or is that the first time you heard that?
That's the first time I've heard that. They don't share that kind of information until after. So,
20 years later, they had to wait.
20 years later, what the heck? So, ended up winning the game.
Awesome.
You
Listen,
talk
you guys
about
have been
following the UCF program. Tyson's talked about it. Javier. I follow it every week. I read about them every day. And I'm elated about the success and the progress this program's made over the last 20 years. It's been remarkable. Everybody's jumped in and pitched in financially for this thing. And the sky's the limit. I had an opportunity to be a part of this thing from 85 to 2003. And I think I shared G. McDowell's vision way back then that this thing could be real special. Tyson talked about facilities back in the day as compared to who we played. We just recruited guys that wanted to play football, that had a passion to play it, like Tyson, like Ryan, like Javier. That was the team. Didn't matter about the facilities. But with that being said, since that point, I can't be more proud of what they've done in the past, and I think it's going to be unbelievable in the future for UCF football. So I'm real excited to see what happens down the road.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, that's probably the perfect way to end our conversation tonight. I'll get us out of here, and we'll watch the game we kick again as we go. But first off, I can't thank you guys enough for taking some time out of your evening to take us back to memory lane 20 years ago and one of the biggest victories in UCF history. So honored that you guys would share this time with us, and I know the fans are going crazy and all the comments and stuff. So we definitely appreciate you taking some time. Thank you for all you all have done for Night Nation and for representing UCF in the most positive light. And I know we'll hope the best for you guys all the run down the road too. So we appreciate you guys for joining us tonight on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.